Hey everybody, I'm going to take you back a long time for today's scandal, all the way back to the beginning of time itself. In May of 2015, a video went viral of a high school graduation in Georgia where some very controversial comments were made that got the school's principal in a whole bunch of trouble. The graduation of these 12th grade students, attendees of a Georgian private school for kids who hadn't found success in the public school system called TNT Academy in Stone Mountain, Georgia. And this school is tiny, guys. I'm talking about a grand total of 72 students across 6 grades with 3 teachers. It's such a small school that I physically couldn't find a picture of it on the internet, and the Yelp page for the school only technically exists, but has no reviews or information on it at all. Actually, its website domain is for sale too, so it's probably safe to say that TNT Academy literally closed forever over this incident. So I had to use Google Maps to get a good look at it. Sure enough, it looks like a building no bigger than a house. Okay, so a very small school, right? So this graduation was a handful of kids, not hundreds. Very intimate school, 3 teachers. You can see from the video footage of the event, there are like a dozen kids graduating here. Okay, no, I'm being hyperbolically reductive. There were 48 students graduating that day, according to the New York Daily News. It looked like less, but 48's still not that big. And the reason I say all this is because the school is small and intimate enough that the principal should know these students by name and have personal relationships with all of them. There's no real excuse when you have 72 students as a principal to not know who those students are. And according to Yahoo News, she wasn't just some hired principal, that maybe didn't care so much about this academy, but she was the founder of this entire private school, TNT. All of this makes what happened a whole lot stranger. So things are proceeding as normal for this graduation. Some nice speeches are given, the kids shake their teachers' hands, and then when the program is drawing to a close, Principal Nancy Gorduke officially dismisses the event. Only she wasn't actually supposed to, because the valedictorian hadn't yet given his speech he was supposed to give. Dante Lambert, one of those 12 students who graduated that fateful day, recounted that, quote, "She forgot the final speech, so she dismissed us all at first. Then she told everyone to come back." And when she did that is precisely the moment that the fateful footage would begin. Footage that would define the rest of Nancy Gorduke's life.
I think y'all owe this young man an apology, especially that goober that was coming through with his little thing. That was so rude. Where are you, you little coward?
She is really out of line now.
Don't tell my daughter to sit down.
You people are being so rude to not listen to this speech. It was my fault that we missed it in the program. Look who's leaving, all the black people.
Notice that by doing that, she absolutely made 100% sure that nobody would ever hear that valedictorian speech. So obviously that didn't go over well with the crowd. And it went even less well than that with the internet, actually, because Gorduke's viral one-liner would go on to get millions of views on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter before she would feel compelled to explain herself. She did a lot of that, too. I found 2 interviews, an email to parents, and the most useful thing, which I think is this lengthy statement she released to multiple news outlets. She says, "To address the incident at the graduation ceremony of May 8, please keep the facts in perspective. An unknown man at the beginning of a speech decided to walk up to the front of the audience with his tablet, videotaping the audience and the students, causing disruption to the audience and disrespect to the ceremony and its participants. When disregarding the request to sit down, the security was asked to remove the man. At that point, booing of the request commenced. Frustrated with the prospect of ruining the once-in-a-lifetime ceremony the graduates worked so hard for, therefore my emotions got the best of me, and that is when I blurted out, "You people are being so rude to not listen to this speech." It was my fault that we missed the speech in the program. I looked to the left where the man was, and all I saw was a mass of people leaving, and I said, "Look who's leaving, all the black people." At that point, members of the audience began to leave. The facts are, the rude booing from my perspective, facing the audience, condoning the actions of this man, are coming from the younger people in the audience. What if 10 or 20 persons came and started videotaping the audience in the middle of a speech? Is that disrespect to the person trying to make his speech, or does that mean everyone can just do as they please? I sincerely apologize to all the persons in attendance at the ceremony for the actions of the few causing the disturbance for my emotional, uncalled for generalization of the black persons in attendance. I deeply apologize for my actions made in the emotional state of trying to get this last student to finish his speech. You will find many, many parents of all races, religions, and ethnic groups that have been serviced by our school and are very appreciative of our efforts on behalf of their students. This same group of students had the same support we are giving to every other graduating class. And I guess I would note here that, at least according to the internet, this school is, or was, half African American students. But I noticed something from the other bits she gave us, a recurring theme that isn't obvious or even really mentioned here in her more lengthy statement. She says on repeated occasions that, essentially, the devil made her do it. She says it in her interview here.
It was not a statement of racism. It was just my frustration. And, you know, when I said it, I told my husband it felt like the devil was in the house because it didn't even sound like me.
And then she says it in this statement she emailed to parents, too. According to Nancy Gorduke, the only reason she even said this is because the literal devil was possessing her body and that the devil was in the building that day. In other words, it seems like she's employing the old Flip Wilson defense. The only problem is, ma'am, need I remind you that you chose to hold this graduation in a church. That's literally a giant cross right behind your podium as you said this. So we can remove all explanations which include witchcraft, devil worship, or other occult tomfoolery. Still, she thought this line was clever enough that she used it like 5 different times. She also bizarrely tried to blame this all on one disruptive attendee, the person she kept calling a goober at the beginning of the footage, who she also mentions in her lengthy statement. Anyway, the following Tuesday, the Georgia chapter of the NAACP got involved. The state's chapter president at the time, Francis Johnson, joined the rest of chapter leadership in calling for Gorduke to be ousted as head of the academy that she herself had created. And lo and behold, by that very same Thursday, chapter president Johnson confirmed to multiple news outlets that Gorduke had, indeed, been fired from her job. Put briefly, the statement read, "In light of recent events, the board of directors at TNT Academy has moved to dismiss Nancy Gorduke as principal. During the coming transition, we will continue to prioritize support for our most recent graduates." And that really wasn't all of it either, because this would inevitably lead to what appears to be her entire company, her probably life's biggest accomplishment in founding an actual school, being shut down, which is kind of a massive blow. So her punishment was actually very significant, which begs the question, same question we ask at the end of all of these videos, did she deserve it? She says in every interview she gave that this was not a racist comment. She actually says so at length in this interview.
My side is I'm not a racist. I didn't know black people was a racist term. I didn't say the N-word or anything like that because that's not in my vocabulary. And I said, you're being rude and disrespectful to this young man. And when I looked left, okay, the light, as you know, lights in an auditorium, you look left, all I saw were black people getting up and leaving. And I said, oh, look who's leaving, all the black people. So I made a statement. It wasn't a racist remark.
So she says it had nothing to do with race, and saying black people isn't racist and never has been. Her words, not mine. But if I could take a wild swing at this one, and I hope I've developed enough of a reputation for fairness by my 65th video that everyone knows I don't believe in regurgitating reaches or promoting specious allegations, I'd say that the reason this came across as racially charged at the very least is fairly obvious. When you say something in this cadence, right? Oh, look who's doing X, what a surprise. The clear insinuation is that the fact that X group is doing Y thing is not surprising to you, but typical and expected, right? You're saying it with a sarcastic cadence. But why would anyone imply that it's typical or expected for all the black people to get up and leave the event and be, as you had just put it, rude by not listening to the valedictorian speech? It sounds like you're saying, I'm not surprised that all the black people are being rude and leaving the event. I don't know. Does it seem like that's a reach of a conclusion to draw to anybody? Oh, and one more thing beyond that, some very interesting tea I happened upon during my research. Apparently, Nancy Gorduke, the principal Karen, had a son named Travis. And when this was all blowing up and his mom was in the news, Travis posted a couple of, let's call them inadvisable things on Facebook. In the now deleted comments, he gave out his personal address and told anyone who had a problem with the way his mom ran her graduation to, quote, come say it to my face. He also, kind of worth noting here, used the N-word. Though, to be honest, looking at his profile picture and the way that he kind of used it here, it seems more like it was a cringy, trying to be cool thing than it was like a clanny type thing. Either way, though, he said it, and that, alongside challenging people who think what he did, what his mom did was racist, to come and fight him at his house, or even just really posting your address on the internet while your mom is in the middle of being internet hunted, seems very ill-advised. Just very dumb decision-making skills for a grown adult, any way that you slice it. Okay, so what do you think? Was this an innocent thing that came out wrong? Did the devil take over a church and then this woman's body that fateful day? Or did our story's principal Karen finally have her mask off moment? That's the story of what happened to Georgia graduation principal Karen. Be sure to join us over on r/reckoned on Reddit to submit story ideas or clips for Public Freakouts Unleashed. If you have a crazy story to share or a crazy video, I'd love to see it, and it might even make a future episode. Anyway, hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and tell me what I did right and wrong in the comments below so I can improve for the future. All right, that's it for me. See ya.